So not long ago on this channel, I asked you guys which current Omega Speedmaster is the hottest. This non-limited edition white dial or the classic black. Now, a lot of people showed support for the white, but I think it was not even close. Most people really like the black dial, and it makes sense. I think the black dial Speedmaster is kind of what you think of when you think Omega Speedmaster. Now, people wanted to know my opinion between the two, and I think I'm kind of in the middle. I think the white dial is very, very handsome. I love the fact that they released it non-limited, which, you know, the number one complaint we have on this channel is that Omega is hyper frequent with their limited editions, special editions, and as we know, if everything's limited and everything's special, then nothing you release ends up being very special. But then again, the black dial, I'm very biased. I own a black dial Speedmaster, but then again, my black dial Speedmaster happens to be a limited edition. So I guess, again, I'm in the middle here. I don't think you can go wrong with the Speedmaster. That doesn't count! It is 1:52 p.m. Let's get down to business. So okay, I don't think you can go wrong with whatever Speedmaster you choose. And it's funny because regardless of what watch I talk about, people have their opinions, right? Whenever I talk about a Rolex, be it a Submariner, their flagship model, there's gonna be a bunch of people that say, it's overrated, who cares about that watch, you can get a lot more for the money elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you talk about the AP Royal Oak, people will say, I'm sick of it. That's the only thing they produce. I don't care about that watch. It's ugly. But for some reason, when you talk about the old Omega Speedmaster, probably one of the most prolific chronographs ever made, you'd think at some point it would become old, outdated, boring, perhaps polarizing. But for some reason, everyone seems to have a soft spot for the Omega Speedmaster. I've really never heard a negative thing said about this watch, and I think, you know, its really interesting history does kind of help it win over the masses. We're gonna brush up on that history in a moment. So first, let's look at the name. Okay, Speedmaster sounds very cool, very exhilarating, powerful, maybe even aggressive. But why is this watch referred to as the Moonwatch? Well, it's the first chronograph certified by NASA for all manned space missions. Oh yeah, and did I mention that the Omega Speedmaster is the first watch that was ever worn on the moon? That's very interesting, very unique, and that's a claim to fame that not a lot of watches have. And listen, don't get me wrong, there are a bunch of other really cool space watches. I mean, the Russians had some, the Seiko Speed Timer, probably one of the first, if not the first, automatic chronographs worn in space. And of course, the Bull of a Lunar Pilot, that's an incredible watch, probably one of my favorite lunar watches. But this Speedmaster really has stood the test of time when it comes to, consistent releases all the way back from the 60s, from the late 50s to now. So okay, we've seen pictures of old Omega Speedmasters. Again, the first one probably being around 1957, and we've seen reissues with the Speedmaster 57 series, which I absolutely love. But what about the current one? The 2025 Omega Speedmaster. Is it even worth the money? Is it cool? And what makes this one special? Well, thanks to my boys over at Wolf Watch Club, we got our hands on a brand new 2025 Omega Speedmaster with that classic black dial, and we're gonna go over the specs and see just how far this watch has come, especially when we're looking at a chronograph that's pretty much been around forever. So although this current 2025 Omega Speedy is modern by pretty much every metric, they retained Hesalite for this one here, and I really do like Hesalite crystals because this is kind of a vintage watch. Any way you cut it, right? It's modern, but it's still vintage, and it's harkening back to the days of yore. And yeah, technically it's acrylic and it will scratch, but it buffs out very easily, as I've shown you guys in one of my very early videos on this channel, using, a polywatch polishing compound on the Hesalite on my Speedmaster, and it buffed out pretty much every scratch. So I really like Hesalite. Another thing that people really like about Hesalite crystals is there's not a ton of distortion on the curve of the glass. So you get a very clear view, again, as long as you're not scuffing it up too much. This one measures in at 42 millimeters in diameter. And this watch is powered by the Omega 3861 master chronometer coaxial hand-wound movement, and it's actually rated up to 15,000 Gauss, so it's very anti-magnetic. Now, to put that in perspective, the Rolex Milgauss is rated to like 1,000 Gauss, which is wild because the Milgauss literally has Gauss in its name, but the Speedmaster's, it's better. Now, one big thing about this new Omega Speedmaster is the step dial. The registers have a nice, really clean kind of step down, adds some dynamic to an otherwise matte black dial. Very, very nice, very clean, very subtle, and again, very Speedmaster. And because this is a modern Omega, the clasp on the bracelet does have a very, very discreet extension there, so it's super duper comfortable, and it's not a hair puller, which is perfect because if you're a barbarian like me, you can wear it in, reasonable comfort. Now, I get that some people may look at this release and think it's just too vanilla, which is kind of ironic because we just spoke about the white dial Speedmaster. I guess this one would be like chocolate. Doesn't matter. You might think it's boring, right? It's got a hand-wound caliber. It's got Hesalite crystal. There's been some Speedmasters in the past that are automatic, that have display case backs, yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing. If you want a true Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, you're gonna want to have that relationship, taking the watch off your wrist, winding it up, giving it some juice, putting it on your wrist, knowing that that is the watch that went into space and on the moon. And there's really not much difference from the one the astronauts wore to the one that you'd be wearing right now. Now, speaking of you wearing the Omega Speedmaster right now, there's some good news. Wolf Watch Club is actually running their competition to draw for this Omega Speedmaster. Like, the one you've been looking at is the one that you could win in their current competition right now, and you're missing out because the draw happens on July 6th. And the craziest thing about this is there's only 399 tickets to win this exact watch. Crazy amounts of value for insane odds. Now, I told the boys over at Wolf Watch Club, listen, if you're gonna try to offer this to my viewers, you gotta sweeten the deal a little bit. And they said, okay, we'll give you a coupon code. So if you use WolfTime10 at checkout, you will get 10% off your ticket purchase. But here's the thing. It only works for the first 30 people who use it. Now, one of the reasons I'm super excited about this current competition over at Wolf Watch Club is that when I spoke to the guys over there about how much I love my Omega Speedmaster and how I think that's truly an enthusiast's watch, right? That's a watch that I think every watch collector should have the pleasure of owning at some point in their collection. The guys at Wolf Watch Club didn't miss a beat. They were like, okay, well, we want to give your viewers the opportunity to actually get one dirt cheap. And this one's not beat up. This one's not some used, like, crazy bottom of the barrel example. This is brand new in box, like, honestly, like wearing gloves holding it. So guys, I'm gonna leave a link to Wolf Watch Club in the description below. Do not miss out, okay? The drawing winner will be revealed on July 6th. I'm going to reveal the winner, and I am honored to be a part of that process and show who gets to share my love of the Omega Speedmaster. So guys, again, please click the link in the description below. Go to wolfwatchclub.com. These opportunities don't come about all that often, so please take advantage, and best of luck. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed, and stay in the fight. I'm Jory Goodman, the time teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it.